Welcome to 2025. Yeah, first live stream of 2025. There's not been many live streams recently because I've not been too well. Firstly, I fell off my moped and did my shouldering and everything. This is no good. Didn't break anything though. It was all right. And then I got a cold just before Christmas, and my voice went. And then just as I was getting better just after Christmas, it came back again and got really worse. So we're going to see how we go today. I don't know whether this is going to be a long live stream. We'll see how my voice holds out. But it's not been good. Today's the first day where I've even decided to give it a go. All right, anyway, so enough of that. What are we doing? We're trying to make pick and place machine software for makers, basically. Low volume, low scale, sort of like not too many jobs, that kind of thing. Yeah. Where the idea is that you've got one person and they do everything. As opposed to like a giant corporate where they've got a guy for this and they've got a guy for that and they've got a guy for that. We're talking like small teams, tiny teams, or one person teams. Pick and place machine software for that. But not just pick and place machine software, also stuff that enables you to do the workflow. And part of the workflow is like buying components and then when you've got your EDA design, deciding which part you've got in your massive library of parts is the right one for the job, and have you got any other? It's a nightmare. So yeah, let's go to the screen. Yeah, here we go. So just as a overview of what we're doing with the planning side of things, there we go. So we built a CLI app to allow us to do the whole workflow, and we're trying to turn that into a GUI app. And we're making progress. This is what we've got so far. We can open one. Here's one. Oh, amazing. There's so much information. I don't even know where to begin. Well, it shows we've got phases, and we've got processes, and we've got units, and we've got PCBs. And we've got, if we click on one of these, it shows you the list of placements for that particular phase. And yeah, that's about as far as we've got with UI, really. I mean, we can create a new one and everything like that as well. But, we spent quite a while investigating GUI frameworks to use and settled on Cushy to do it all in. And yeah, that's sort of where we're at, really. So the architecture of all this is a bit funky. We're using Crux for it. So the idea there is, let's bring up the IDE, this one. The idea there is, let's get rid of this. Close everything. The idea is you've got some code, for instance. You've got the concept of like a project and all this kind of thing, right? And you've got some methods which allow you to do things with the project. But instead of having a GUI access this code directly, we have layer of indirection. Yes, more than one layer of indirection. So first layer of indirection is you have a core app which has, for those just joining the project, bit of an overview before we go back straight into the code. The first layer of indirection is we have a core, right? And the idea is you've got a CLI app and it interacts with the core, and you've got a GUI app and it interacts with the core, and the core talks to the other crates in the background. And the CLI app and the GUI app only have a dependency on the core. They do not have dependencies on all the other stuff that the core uses, right? The idea there is that if you want to add a new functionality, you add it to the core, and then you add it to your shells, as they're called, or GUIs and CLIs. And you add it to your core first, and then you add the functionality into your shells. And the shells interact with the core via events and capabilities and all this kind of stuff. And it's all part of the Crux application framework. So we've got things like create, save, load, add a PCB, add a variant, add, assign processes to parts, and all the things that you might want to actually do with your project. which, if you remember, are these things. This is what we decided that we wanted to do mostly. And then there's UI specific things like getting information so you can render a UI, for instance. So the fact that we've got a tree view here, this is because the shell, the UI, is sending an event to request the project explorer view, which is all this. And then when you click on one of these, it then issues another event, which is to give me the phase properties, and then it issues another event where it gets the placements, and then it renders that in text form at the moment. And at some point this will be turned into a nice table, and you can go add and delete and check the status and all this kind of thing. But you know, baby steps, isn't it? Yeah, we've also got internationalization. Oh, this got merged into Cushy. It's in Cushy Master now. Hey, I'm apparently an official contributor to Cushy now. So that got merged. So that was pretty good. There were some updates to that as well, which the author added, which is pretty good. So I merged all those in. Yeah. So we've got the core of the application, we've got the shells, but we've got more than one core. So that means you can have a shell which interacts with multiple cores. How is this interesting, and why do we need this? Well, you've got the project planning phase and all this kind of stuff, right? So when you're creating a PCB, you have to go, well, or when you're, say, assembling a PCB rather, you know, you start with your EDA, and then it spits out some files. Then you go, well, today I'm going to use my pick and place machine, and then you're like, tomorrow I'm not going to use my pick and place machine. I'm just going to solder everything manually. Or maybe you can't use pick and place machine because everything's through hole components, but the process is all the same. You've got to do the top, you've got to do the bottom, and you might split it up into multiple phases because you might want to do the small bits first and then do the big chunky bits later, so on. Or if you've got a pick and place machine, you might not have enough feeders to do it all in one go, so you've got phases. But before you even get to all that side of things, you've got this variance. It says choose variant for each design. And it's been quite a while since we looked at variants and all this kind of stuff. So the idea is that when you design a PCB, let's just take, for example, so, you know, you've got a coin cell, you've got a switch, and you've got some LEDs. And you press the switch and it uses the power from the coin cell to turn on the LEDs. Great. But maybe you want to make blue ones, and maybe you want to make red ones, maybe you want to make green ones. The PCB is the same, but the components you put on it are different. And those are your different variants, right? And maybe you've got a panel of 6 of these things, and you want 2 red ones, and 2 green ones, and 2 blue ones. So you have to assign variants to PCB units, as in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the case of a panel with 6 PCBs in the panel. So we've got the variant builder, and the variant builder now has its own core. Initially we wrote it as a CLI app, and then over the Christmas period I updated that to be a Crux app. Let's have a quick look at that. Where do we get to? Here we go. Yeah, right. So now we've got variant builder CLI. So it goes main, and it passes the options from the arguments, and then it gets an event from the options. Oops, daisy. That was the wrong key. And it basically goes, well, given the options, let's look at the command, and if it's build, then create an event and do some pre-parsing and all this kind of stuff, and return the event. Yeah, great. That's the one additional layer in direction. And then it says, okay, given the core, and then run the core loop. Because you might get a series of events after you create one event. It might say, do some other events. So you have to run it in a loop. And you basically go core update and you pass it the event. And then it might tell you to do some things, such as rendering stuff or another event. And that interacts with the core. And the core is another crate, which basically just has an event handler. It just has an update method, and it gets given the event. And if it's build, then it does all the same stuff that the CLI app previously was doing. And then it updates the model, and then it tells the CLI to render something if needed. And that's pretty much it. The variant builder's only got one event. The planner app has got a lot more events in it, as we just saw. It's got all these events, and it's got all these event handlers. Also, over the Christmas period, I poked the event handlers and tidied up some of this code in here. Yeah, it's a bit cleaner now. So we've got two cores. We've got a planner, and we've got a variant builder. So our planner GUI, although it's currently called planner GUI, we might do more than just plan things in it. We might also make it create variants too, at which point we might rename it. I was thinking about reorganizing some of the crates in the project as well to make it a bit more obvious where the boundaries and things like that lie. So I was thinking of creating a shared bit which is going to have the apps in them, and then have the core sort of back end stuff as being what crates is now, and then have a shells which has the CLI, GUI, these three things in it. I might reorganize that at some point, not right now, but I think it might be a little bit clearer for those first coming into the project, trying to work their way around it. Probably a useful thing to do. So yeah, so the question is, given all this information, what are we going to do next? Well, it's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. Let's have a look at the app. I mean, we can open our projects. Let's open our test project. Right? This is what our test project looks like now. There's not really a lot in it. And there's no functionality to do anything with it. It's only like viewing stuff at the moment. So maybe what we should do is look at the planner app for the events that you can do. So we've got, load and save. We've got that. We didn't have save before. The CLI used to automatically save everything every time you interacted with it, because that's what CLI apps do, really. But now, saving is explicit and not implicit. But the GUI app didn't have a save button, so I added that yesterday. So it's got a save button there now. Anyway, so we've got creating a project, loading and saving. Great, that's all done. And we've also got some of the views. Fine. But let's actually try and make it useful. So in order to make it useful, we probably need to add support in the GUI for some of these other events, right? So if we go to the CLI app and look at the tests, we've got one test, which is a sequence of events. And we did the sequence of events as in, first you create a job, then you add a PCB, then you add variants to units. And this sequence is basically the same as this, right? So creating a job, file new, done, check. Add PCB. So let's just start here, I think. So the CLI app goes add PCB. Look, we've got help add PCB. So when you try and add a PCB using the CLI app, and if you do help and then whatever, then it tells you what you're supposed to do. So to add a PCB, you've got some options, and we've got kind and name. These are required options, these ones are, which is why it's printed them here. So in the GUI app, somehow we're going to need a button that says add PCB. And then it's going to, I don't know, prompt you for kind and a name. The kind is either a single or a panel. So for those playing along, you know, let's not forget what we're actually trying to do. So panel, it's got 6 on it. Oh. You know, another one. There's 10 on it. Do we have a single here? Oh no, we've got another one. I've got lots of panels. I do have some single PCBs around somewhere. Anyway, a single is basically just one of these. So those are different types. And then we've got a name for it. And the name, it doesn't really make much, much difference to it. It's sort of more like a reference, really. So imagine you've got like, I don't know, a pick and place machine, and you've got a bed on it, and you want to assemble 2 different panels, right? Then you might need to give them more meaningful names. But default is probably a meaningful name if you're only doing one thing. So I don't know. Maybe name should be optional. It should have a default, but we can come back to it. Anyway, the GUI needs to prompt you for a name and a kind. And before it can prompt you for it, you're going to need to interact with something. Probably a button. So let's have a look at the app and see if we can find a useful place where we can put this button. Because honestly, I don't know. So let's open the previous job that we were looking at. And we're trying to add a PCB. So if we click PCBs, do we want like an add button up here or something? Or GUI design. Oh, there's a few ways we could go here, isn't there? Do we have a toolbar which shows you all the buttons that you could do, that you could use? Or do you only display the buttons when you're clicking on the various section of the project? I don't know. I don't know yet what's going to be more useful. We don't want to make it too clicky is why I'm hesitating, right? So we want this process to be fairly streamlined. So I don't know, imagine you've gone new or you've gone open and then you don't have any PCBs and you're looking at this. Do we want the user to go PCBs and then click add? Or should there just be a button up here for adding a PCB or a panel anyway? Let's make a sort of project toolbar. I think we're probably going to need it anyway. And let's add it to the project toolbar. And then if we find that it's better somewhere else, we can always move it. It'll be less clicky that way. It might end up being too many things on there. I'm not sure. But let's try and do that. So above the content pane, we're going to have another toolbar, which is going to have buttons on it. And at some point, we can have nice little icons for it and everything. Yeah, we have to create groups for the item. Oh dear, no. Ooh, you can see this is going to be fun. All right, let's make it work, and then let's make it look pretty. Okay. Right then, GUI. Let's go. So, project. Right. So this is the code that creates the project view, which contains the project explorer and the content pane. And somewhere there's a bit of code. Yeah, here it is, which creates a widget. Right. And then this widget ends up appearing inside a project tab. But there's other types of tabs that we can have. But this is the content for the tab. So on the right hand side, we want a thing that contains two things. Okay, so we've got a content pane. And the content pane contains a pile, and the pile widget switches to a different thing depending on what you're supposed to be looking at. Right, so we want that, and above that we want a toolbar. So let's say let's create a toolbar. And we'll just make it a label. For now. And then let's put it in a container. Right, great. So now we can go, I don't know, what, toolbar. We're going to need to keep a reference to this toolbar, aren't we? Yeah. Okay, fine. Toolbar. And then we want... And now we've got a widget list. And now we want rows. I need to change my keyboard shortcuts for like the return tab and so on. Let's see what happens. I spilled super glue on me earlier. Just if you're wondering what I'm doing. I'm trying to get rid of the glue. My hand isn't tasty. I'm just trying to get rid of the glue. My Wally mug. Do you remember my Wally mug? I broke one the other day, about a month or so ago. And I finally got some super glue to stick it back together and put it on the shelf because it's still like a nice thing. I had a spare Wally mug. I'm down to one good Wally mug that I can drink from. But my other one is now on the shelf, being fixed with super glue. Fixed enough to look at anyway. Right. So, look, we've got a toolbar. Hey. Okay, let's add a button to it. Now, we already created the toolbar before, right? This is what we did. This is the application toolbar. Right. Now, the next toolbar we create might have some similarities with the first one. So the first one we created doing this, right? Toolbar, make widget, and then this make widget consumes. Now, I have a feeling that depending on the state of the current project or the tab that you're looking at, right, the toolbar needs to have certain things enabled or disabled. So, for instance, just run it again. So, for instance, there's a close all button, but if you've got nothing open, this should be disabled. Save, that should be disabled too, right? Because you've not even got anything open. Again, here I've got a new thing, but there's no point being able to click save on it, right? So, depending on what you're looking at and the current state of the UI, we need to update these toolbar buttons. At the moment, you construct a toolbar and then we throw the instance of the toolbar away. I mean, I don't think we actually have an instance of the toolbar. I think it's just a function. Yeah. We don't have a thing that retains any state. So I've got a feeling that when you create a toolbar, you need to add elements to the toolbar, which you can later retrieve and then update the state of them. And there's certain things that you want to be able to do, such as hide, show, add, delete, maybe. Enable, disable. Yeah. I don't want to get into the whole depths of creating a toolbar in the live stream. No. Let's focus on adding some functionality. And let's use the whole, the same messages and the same make toolbar thing that we did before. Yeah. Okay. We're going to do that. So we're going to say, I mean, does our previous one, it does all the container and everything as well. So, and then this, what does it return? It returns a widget instance. Let's just say make toolbar. Thus. Why is it? That's odd. Impl project. Now, let's just add a public function. Public? No, just a regular function. Right. I'm going to steal some of the same things from this. And then we have a toolbar message. And this is scoped to a different module. So, not any of those. What did we say we want? Add PCB, that was it. Should it be like this? I think it should, shouldn't it? Ooh, and then we've got to come up with the key for the internationalization stuff. Oh no. I mean, this is sort of like the app toolbar. Do we want to rename these to app toolbar? Or should we just add a different one? I'm going to go with project toolbar button add PCB like this, or hyphenated. I don't know. Right, in order to create a toolbar, when you click the buttons on it, it needs to have an instance of a message, which is a dynamic, which can be updated to set the message so that something else, the subscribers of that message, can react to its changes. So we need to create one of these at some point, and we're also going to need one of these language identifiers. And yeah, we're going to need all these things. But it's not going to be that toolbar message. It's going to be this toolbar message. We're going to have to import some stuff. I assume it was that one. Don't know. We'll find out if it was wrong or not shortly. And then at the bottom of this, I'm not sure. Maybe we don't need the languages. No, we don't need the languages. I was wrong. Are we going to create a toolbar like this, but without a language selector? I'm not entirely sure whether we need the expand either. I'm going to leave it there for the moment. But it's not going to have all these buttons. It's just going to have one for now. And then we're going to add more to it later. Okay. So we borrowed the same pattern so that when we come to refactor the toolbars, we can refactor both of them. Now, I feel like creating a new module for this. And then getting that code that we just had and putting it into that new module. I don't know why it doesn't keep the import statements when you're pasting stuff. It'd be nice if it did. It does it in like Java and Scala and Groovy and everything. It doesn't do it in this. Just removing the ones that it added that we don't need anymore. Oh, I can feel my voice going. Right, so we've got make toolbar. Let's try and use it. This one. Now, which make toolbar you see? There we go. That one. What we want. So we need to give it things. We need to give it stuff. So the other toolbar. No. The other toolbar. When this was called, prior to it being called, a message was created. So we're going to borrow that as well. Prior to it being called, a message was created, which was that. This toolbar message is the project toolbar. Yeah, right. So previously, Yeah. Oh dear. Right. In order for the project to emit messages, we need to have reference to the project message. I think we've got a project message somewhere. This one. So this now needs a toolbar message, which is going to be a toolbar message. And then I suppose this self, does it keep the message? Yeah, there it is. Okay. So this can be self.message clone. Yeah. And this should be project message probably. Because we have to map the message that comes from the toolbar into a project message. Okay, that's happy. Why is this not happy? Yeah, what's wrong with that? I don't know. Oh, was there a capital B there or something? There was. I wonder what was going wrong there. That was a bit weird. Okay, so we've got a toolbar message, and every time it gets updated, we need to take the message out of it and then wrap it in another message, which then gets processed. And then at some point, we're going to have some event handling for that. Are we on to the event handling yet? I think we might be. Let's deal with toolbar actions down here, toolbar messages down here. So if we've got a project message that's a toolbar message, then we need to do something with it. Let's debug it. I suppose. And then we do nothing afterwards currently. We probably want to go like handle, like self.handle toolbar message. Probably. Seems reasonable. And then, oh dear. And we're just going to return that. Should we put that debug message in there? No. And those are the types of things that we can do. Right. Add PCB. And this is supposed to return an action, a project action, I think. Is it supposed to return an action? Or just a project action? Oh, let's see how we handled messages in the other one. So we've got make toolbar, we've got this, we've got blah, 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 blah. And then somewhere we've got some handling of toolbar messages. This. Okay, let's be consistent, I suppose. On Toolbar message. And we return task of app messages here. Yeah, I'm not sure about the actions. So let's have a look at that. Yeah. Okay. Action, new action. So it's not one of those. It's just one of these. Let's just make it do that for now, and we'll come back to it. Who else has this problem of remembering all the code in your project? Projects get to like a certain size, and then you're like, oh, there's too much code. I don't remember it all now. I'm already having that with this project. I mean, it's been a few months of code. Not every day, but yeah, still quite a bit. Right, what happens if we compile it? Let's find out. I reckon it's going to compile. I don't think I missed anything. Oh, it compiled. Right, so who thinks we're going to see a toolbar with a button that's got... Oh, we're missing something. You see, this is why you asked the question. Project toolbar button add PCB. I suppose we need that in Spanish as well, don't we? Oh, let's learn some Spanish. It's probably something like Ana dear placa. I don't know. Not that. Add PCB. See, Ana dear placa. See? But I haven't got a keyboard that lets me type the little thing on the ends. So, copy and paste it is. That was pretty good. Okay. Right, next. Oh, yeah. Speaking of internationalization, if this works, we're going to have a little detour for a minute so I can show you a fix me. Okay, so let's open the file. We've got add PCB, but I'm a muppet. Put quotes on it. I don't know why I put quotes on there. Nobody told me not to. Let's have a quick look at the chat. Did anyone in the chat tell me not to put the quotes there? Oh, AR58386. That's an interesting name. Nice seeing the process. Hi in Discord too. Just remove everything you don't remember as long as the test pass. Yes. You don't need it if all the tests pass without it, right? Totally. We don't need the GUI because we've like got a test for that, haven't we? Yeah. We've totally got a test for that. The entire GUI. Yeah. What I'm waiting for is Cushy to add access kit support. I might be waiting a while. But at that point, we might be able to hook into the UI, pretend to be a human in a test, and then have some behavioral driven tests. Be nice. Okay, so we've got add PCB with quotes, and nothing happened when I clicked it. Oh wait! Yes, it did. I was just not reading the messages properly there. Oh, it totally worked. So, yeah, that was magic. Who remembers how the message processing works in this? The idea is that you create a message as a result of a user interaction, and then you add a series of message handlers which handle those messages. But there's layers of onions. What layers of onions? For those following along, I'll just recap the layers of onions. We're going back in log sector. Oh, yeah, no, not that bit. This bit. The onions. This bit. So this was the diagram we drew when we looked at iced. So the idea is you've got a user and he's got a GUI and he clicks on something and an event occurs. And then a widget creates a message. And this gets wrapped in the tabs message. And then the tabs container wraps it again. And then it gets wrapped by the application. And then at some point, the message gets processed. And then it goes, well, the app needs to update it. And what was the message? What does it need to do? It goes, well, it's a tab message. Okay, let's give it to the tabs update thing and then peel a layer off. And the tabs update thing goes, oh, what do I need to do with the tab? Am I adding a tab or is it a message for a tab? And it goes, oh, it's a message for a tab. Okay, well, let's peel a layer off and give it to the, delegate it to the type of tab that it was that wanted it. And then eventually the type of tab that actually wants the message gets it. And it needs to know which tab it was that created the message to start with, because there might be multiple tabs. So when you wrap it, you put the key to the tab in, so you know which tab to pass the message to. And then eventually the tab container gets the thing, the event, and then it can do something with it and it creates actions. And we basically have all this kind of stuff inside our cushy framework. So it works pretty much the same way as that. Your onions. Okay. So a toolbar message got wrapped in a project message, which got wrapped in a project tab message, which got wrapped in a tab message, which got wrapped in an app message. And then it got all unwrapped as well. Yeah. So it printed add PCB, and that's what this is here. Yay. Let's do a quick commit. Let's do a planner GUI. Add PCB. Add toolbar with add PCB button. Quick review of this. I mean, it doesn't add a PCB yet, but it's enough code that we can probably do a commit. So what did we do? We added a translation. We added another translation. Yay. We added a toolbar module. We added a message for toolbars inside the project. We created a toolbar message and we give that to the toolbar so that the toolbar can update that message when you click a button. And then we added some handling for toolbar messages. And we processed the individual toolbar messages. And then this was the bit where we created a toolbar message. Now, I glossed over this earlier today because we just copied and pasted it from the other toolbar because they all work the same way in this. And the idea is that you create a button which is localized from a key, which uses a translation to get the human readable string. And it converts it to a button. And when that button is clicked, it gets that toolbar message, cloned one, and updates it so that it's this. Right. It doesn't really do much. That's all it does. Right? But if we go back here, this says every time it's updated, get the toolbar message and update the project message or set so that it's a toolbar message of whatever that new toolbar message was. And then that gets handled by another one of those, which looks very similar to this, which then wraps it into a tab message and so on and so on and so on. So that's sort of like one layer of onion wrapping right there. Grew an extra layer. Right. Continuing with, yes, everything looks good. That's it. Okay. Done. Right, now I said I wanted to quickly talk about internationalization stuff, because this morning I added a fix me. Now I said a while back ago that if you start creating an application without internationalization support from the start, and then try and retroactively add internationalization support later, your life will be pain. I'm going to show you an example of this pain right now. Are you ready? Oh. So we've got a core, right? But the core doesn't know anything about languages. Okay, that's fact number one. We've got a GUI, which does know about languages. So there should be no formatting or creation of messages in the core. Only the clients which know about the languages can do it. In the case of a CLI, there's only one language and it's English. But in the case of our GUI, it's got multiple languages. And therefore, when you do things like creating the tree. Okay, now let me show you the tree in the GUI app for a moment. Right. This is the tree here. So we've got root, we've got phases, we've got processes, and then we've got these things. We've got all this stuff, right? No. Bad developer. Why? Okay, look what happened here. I changed the language, but it still says root, phases, processes, units, and PCBs. Why? Because these English strings come from the core, which is bad. It gets worse. It gets worse. Say, for instance, we open up a project. This one, right? And we've got this. We've got this. It's got a PCB called A. You know, default, whatever, doesn't matter. And the type is a single. Now, where does this come from? I'll show you. I'll show you when I find it. What was that thing? It was PCBs, wasn't it? Yeah. This is where it comes from. Yes. This has got no business whatsoever living here. And this is one of these situations where trying to add internationalization support later changes everything. So, like, sure, you know, we've got a project tree item which has got a name and a path. You're like, fine. A project tree item, where is it? Let me run it again. Project tree item is just one of the things that lives in the tree view. Right? One of these things. Each one of these is a tree item, right? And it's got a name and a path. No, wrong. You shouldn't have that. No. No. Because if it has that, then that means you're doing formatting code in the core, and that lives in the core. It's no good. So probably what it needs is what I wrote in the fix me this morning. So instead of a name, I think it needs like a key, and that key would then be what's used to append to one of these types of keys. For instance, so if we said Project Explorer, and then if I said, what is this one? It was it PCB? It was PCB, wasn't it? PCB. Let's say instance. And then this is where the formatting should really happen. It should be like name. And then kind, right? Oops, let me send an equals. I suppose that should be like that. That's where the formatting is supposed to happen. Not in here. Oh, I've lost the code now. Not here. But it changes everything. Oh. Should we fix it now? It's going to be painful, though. Yeah. The reason that it's painful is because to do internationalization, you need args. Does that mean... Okay, and to go from the core to the GUI, all the messages need to be serializable. But do we think fluent args are serializable? I doubt it. So, do you remember when we were working on Cushy and we added support for internationalization, localization? We had an example of how to create arguments. And we had a macro which did the stuff. And no, I didn't write this. See? You see? Into fluent value. Oh, wow, the author of Cushy's been well busy. Interesting. Oh, we've got dynamic args. Oh, we've got very busy. Oh. Oh. Oh, no. AR58386 says, shouldn't those names be a type that implements something like display but allows translation? That's what maybe localized is now in Cushy. We have exactly that. Let me just show you the example in here. So for instance, when you're creating a window, yeah, right, into window, you have a window title, but you need to know what language the title should be rendered in. And to be backwards compatible, it needs a type that can be a string, or it needs something that can be dynamic. And then if there's a localization context, then it needs to look it up. So that's why this title thing takes a int value may be localized now. But we're not at that layer. Inside the planner core, there is no dependency on any localization code at all. I'm not entirely sure whether this is correct or not, but I think that's the way it should probably be. And only the application should know about localizing stuff. And it should have all the things that it needs to be able to do the localization based on the information passed to it. And what we're trying to fix is how to pass that information to it. One of the things that we might need to pass might be a string. Great, that's easy. But what happens when we need to then pass something else other than a string, like a number? Then we need a concept of like something that can be a string or something that can be a number, as in an arg, or basic arg type. And then those get used and then converted into the fluent value string and fluent value number, right? Depending on what it is passed over. Because the dependency on the localization might change. You might want to use a different localization library. So I don't think we should be passing over fluent numbers and fluent args at all in this. I don't think there should be any dependencies there. So we probably have to reinvent the wheel again. And then, you'll see. You'll see in a moment. So what I'm thinking is, okay. What I'm thinking is not this. Let's keep name here for the moment. Let's put key here and make it a string. And then go args. Going to be a vector of, I don't know, arg. Right, an arg is going to be a serializable thing. Pub, enum, arg, arg, arg. We're going to have a string, and that's going to be it for now. But, oops, daisy, I clicked the wrong thing again. I'm always doing that. It needs to have all these things. And it needs to have all these things because it appears in a type that has all these things. So we've got args. We want to delete this. Can't delete it just yet. So now we've got some errors because these things don't add them all. But let's just deal with this one first. So the key is going to be what? PCB? Instance? Yeah, why not? That'll probably work. And then args. Should these be... This should be a hash map. Should be a hash map, not a vector. Okay. We don't care about ordering, so hash map is probably okay. Yeah. We can't have two args the same because it wouldn't make any sense to do so. And we're not doing arrays or anything like that. We're not getting fancy. Oh, well, it needs to be a string thing. Yeah, okay. What's the literal syntax for hash maps? No, I don't remember. Okay, let's look it up. Hash map from, this was it. Let's borrow that. Plot that there. Oh dear. Delete that. Put a comma there. Delete two of these. And it's going to be a arg. No, it's not. It's going to be name. And this is going to be an arg of type string PCB name. There. Like that. Maybe. Too many brackets. Kind is going to be a string as well. But here we're going to format the kind because the kind is an enum. Dot this. Do we have two string? Does two string display? Yeah. I'm not sure about that one. We're going to find out. Is it like as display? As let's just go format. Something like this. Got a comma missing. This needs to be cloned. I've got too many brackets here. We're going to get there eventually. Honestly, we are. So we've got that. We've got this. We've got that. We've got this. And it's complaining because too many brackets. There we go. So now we've got a key and we've got a name. So let's delete that. I'm going to press the compile button. And we're going to check the error messages. Yes, AR58386. I'm going to have to start calling it something shorter than that. How about just 386? So missing key initializer, that's fine. But this one. Oh, it's got a string reference. These need to have two string on them. And there we go. Missing field name. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so now we've got to fix all the other ones. Joy. So it should be fairly easy. This should be key, and then this should be root. Easy. Can we go dot dot dot? Can we do that? I think we can do this. We need to implement default for this, don't we? I think that's all we need to do. Yeah. Let's just make it unknown. We have empty. Just want a new hash map. String. I just don't want to, if I change the implementation so that it doesn't use the hash map, I don't want to have to go back to all the other code and change all the places where I create new hash maps and all that kind of rubbish. No. I just want to call the default method self missing field name. Oh, this is supposed to be key. I want to delete this. It's gone. My fix me's done. Yeah. Should we have the root as the default one? Yeah, why not? No. I think that's a bad idea. Okay. Let's press compile and see what happens. Okay, that one worked. Now we're on to the next one. So fixing the other one should be fairly similar. Oh. No English strings here, thank you very much. We want keys instead. I'll keep doing that. Well, let's see if I can not do that this time. Phases. Based. Ah, I got you that time. Okay, key. Suppose. Now, here we need args. Do we need args? Yeah, we do. What is this? Phases. So the key should be phase. And the args should be reference. Like that. I think. Let's have a look at this one. So here, the key should be process. Because we're adding the process nodes. And then we need some args where the name be cloned. Wait a second. Did I fuck that up? Reference is we'll come back to it. Oh yeah, and then we want the I guess we don't need that here. No arguments on that one, that's fine. Key test. And then this was just the test nodes that we added for our for our project tree item testing. We've got some errors still. Yeah. So same deal here. We want a key, we want some args. We fix that one. And this should be path. Maybe? I'm not sure if we need to do the format thing there, but I guess we'll find out. And then what are we doing here? This is a unit assignment. Because we've got unit. Is it units? This is unit assignments. This is a unit assignment. Processes, process. Phases, phase. Yeah, I think that looks good. It's bitching about this. I'll convert it to... Let's have a look at that. We've got display. Let's just see dot display. Is that what we do? No. I don't know how to use this display trait. Suppose we should read it. You try it first. That fails. Read the documentation, isn't it? Right? So it implements toString. Does it? Can we just go like this one? Is that what we're supposed to do? It probably is. I mean, apparently it worked for that one. Because this reference isn't a string. Right. So now the Planner app compiles, but the GUI is going, well, what have you done to my project tree items? You used to have a name there before and it's gone now. What do you do? Right, so this is where we do the localization. So previously we were getting a string, which has already been localized, but now we need to localize it. So let's just go boo. Do that in a minute. But firstly, let's see. Oh, it's a daisy. I pressed the wrong button there. Let's just see what happens now. But do this one. It should say foo a lot, which is fine. Let's have a quick scroll back up here. So what we're looking for is the args, which we see, and we've got the key, which we see. So for each one of these tree items, we're basically processing these here and creating buttons which need to use this information to generate a string so that the user can read it in the language that they use. Let's go. Non-trivial. Yeah. How do we do that again? Well, I suppose we need to look at my example. Well, I created an example, right? So we've got some bananas. So what we're supposed to do now is use this localize macro. I didn't initially make it like that. I did something else. The last time I looked at this file, it was different. Git show history. So the last time I looked at it was this one. Right. Yeah. Wait. That one. Yeah. So now it's got this labeled by thing. And what we were doing before was this. Was it that one? No, wait, no, hold on. I'm trying to find the bananas. Because the bananas has got the arguments. Yeah. So what I was doing before was creating a new instance of a localize and giving it the argument by calling .arg. But now there's a macro which does that. And then the macro is now doing the mapping, probably, because this is all essentially generic. Okay, that's good. That's a nice improvement. We like that. That's good, actually, because what that means is if you've got localized like this, the macro could then use a different localization system if Fluent is decided to be no bueno, be no good. Yeah, that's better, that is. So it's hiding the fact that Fluent is being used. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. So let's just grab this, right? Switch back to this. Let's just say title. And go let title is this. I'm going to import this macro. And we're going to say, well, key. Suppose we need to create a key. And what we're doing is rendering a project tree view. So this is going to be format. I don't know why it's done that. Project tree. No. Explorer. What? Node? Maybe? Tree node? Node is probably okay. Tree item? Node? It's a bit wordy. Let's go with node. And then the thing. Now, we can complete this by going node.e, maybe? We might have to do it like this. Do we have a key here? What did we have? We had item, not node. Right, so now we've got a key. So the idea is we take this and append it to this, one of those, and this is the key that we defined for each of the tree items. And then we need to take the args out. But let's deal with the args later. Let's deal with the args later. Let's see what happens. Does it compile? Oh, it does. Right now, we should see some untranslated stuff in the UI with a bit of luck. So we haven't added all those keys to the translation file. Yes, there you go, look. So now we've got missing. So dollar missing, and then it shows you the key, and then it shows you for, and then it shows you the language. And if we do ES, now it says ES there. This is excellent. Okay, great. This means it's definitely dynamic. Excellent. Right. So now we need to add all the translations for these things: project, explorer, node, root. Let's find that. Well, okay, well. Oh, see, I'm putting quotes again. And they didn't tell me to not put quotes there, did you? That's twice you've done that. Right. Right. So we've got root is one of them. And we've got a bunch more of these things. I know we've got phases. And then we've got phase. And then we've got to do. We just leave it out for now. Can we put a hash in it? Does that work? Does it parse that? What's a comment in a fluent file? And then we've got, what else have we got? We've got unit assignments. And this was just units before. Let's actually make it say unit assignments. That one we've got to do. What else have we got? You don't remember, do you? We've got PCB. PCBs. So this is where we need to do the formatting. We've got PCB instance. I mean, I had PCB instance there. Is it PCB instance? Do we need that? No. I don't think we do. That might go wrong because it's missing some arguments. Let's just get these working, the ones without arguments first, and then we'll deal with the arguments. What else? Don't remember. Processes. Yeah, that's probably about it. Okay, let's run it. Does it parse the file? It might have done. Ooh, look at that. Amazing. So the ones that we've added now get translated. And we've fixed the translation. We've fixed it. No, we haven't, because we've not done the args yet. Phase. Okay, so. Oh, look, and the fallback is working. Brilliant. Okay, let's deal with a phase. I think it was phase name, right? No, not that one. Where's the phases? PCBs, unit assignments, processes, phases. Key. Phase. Oh, we got a reference. We're just going to display the reference. Unit assignment. We've got a name. We've got a PCB with a name and a kind. Name and a kind. Ooh, is this supposed to be like this? I'm not really too familiar with this fluent syntax here. And then we got process. Process has got a name. So we can steal this because I'm too lazy to type it in. Let's see what happens now. Because we haven't added the arguments to it. But let's see what happens. Because I'm curious. Oh, and it just shows you the thing. This is good. This is good. So now we need to deal with arguments. So we need to add arguments to it. But we've got dynamic arguments. That means we can't do a macro. We can't use the macro. So we're gonna have to do what the macro does. Okay, so let's build some args. Args dot for each. Map. I want to convert hash map into something that localized takes. What I mean, this thing is going new and it's basically going, it's calling arg on it. It's fine. So we have to undo what the macro is doing. So it's going to be localized new with the key. All right. 2 colons, please. Thank you very much. And that's still fine. Let's just make sure that compiles. Should do. Unless I missed something that the macro is doing. Right, it compiles. So now we need to do args. Can we add lots of args? Wait, what? Yeah. I guess it's fine. Everything's fine. Yeah, okay, fine. Let's not create args. Let's just make this mutable. In item args. And then go what? Title dot arg. And then, depending on the type of argument that it is, where's the macro gone? Here it is. Into value, fluent value. It might magically work, but I doubt it. We're gonna probably have to go match item dot value because it's gonna need to call a different implementation for the arg method. Oh, not item dot value, match value. Right, we've got this, and all of these match arms will be the same, but it's going to call a different method, probably. So we've got the string. Let's just say value. Title.arg key value. Something like that. Key. Yeah, what? Let me just... And what does this give us back? It gives us back self. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Args dot iter. And the value is a string. Can we go into on this? I honestly don't know. Let me just compile it without that. Maybe it's the IDE just being funny. So this arg needs a into value. There's going to be an implementation of into value for like strings. There's lots of there's into value for dynamics. Here's the static string. But what about string? Implement into value. Should I be calling into value? Because there's an implementation for it. The trait bound. Kind of assumed that it would just do that because there's an implementation of it. Is this one of those weird cases where you need to futz around? I'm not sure. Oh, do we? Is it just a star? Yeah. Can we do that? There we go. There's an implementation there. It's just how to find the implementation. You have to clone it. And then we get an actual string instead of a reference to a string. Okay. Okay, I think we're adding all the args. And we only support string arguments at the moment, so we're okay. So now it should all work, right? Everything should be perfect. Pass or fail. Pass or fail. Pass. Fixed. Done. Done skedoodle. So now the internationalization is done inside client, not in the core. And the core passes the stuff that is required in order to be able to do the internationalization. It needs lights. There we go. Right. So we did it. The internationalization is fixed. Let's delete some fix me's. Yes, very good. We like that now. That's good, that. We like that. Happy days. Happy days. But we're not fixed. We need to do it in Spanish. Let's just slap this into DeepL. and see what it comes up with. Root. Let's say tree root node and see what happens. Okay. Sometimes the translation needs a bit of context, but apparently it worked it out. Phases, yeah. So yes, that seems good. Sanaciones de unidad, sí. Sí, proceso. Sí, todo bien. Todo bien, muy bien, muy bien, muy bien. Ok, pone esos aquí. Ya está. Mi español es muy mal, lo siento. My Spanish is bad, I'm sorry. Right. But, you know, learning. Learning. Right. Does it work in Spanish? That's the question. Ahora en inglés y ahora en español. Qué bueno, ¿no? Get me box. Joder. See, totally. These ones, top and bottom here, are defined by the project. It's not that we didn't translate them. And the same goes for these ones as well. Those ones are going to need a bit more thought. Yeah. These ones. These are the odd ones out. Because the user types this in, and if they were typing in Spanish, they would like alto and bajo as they typed them in, right? It's fine. These ones come from the system, and the user didn't type these in. So we might need to think about that. But because it'd probably be okay for now. At the moment, the system supports 2 hard-coded processes. And the idea is that the user is going to be able to, at some point in the future, to define their own process and the operations that each process needs. So currently, manual is like place components, solder components. Pick and place has got other operations, which is load PCBs, then put the PCBs in the machine. And then it's got mount components, and then it's got reflow components. And there's potentially other soldering processes. Oh, excuse me. That we're going to need to do. And each of those processes are going to need their own name. Probably one of those situations where the processes, the names of the processes are determined by who you are. They probably do need to be translated. Yeah. But the problem is that you can't have a key for the translation. Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to come back to those later. Yeah. They probably just need to be like user defined to begin with, and then I don't have to worry about their sometimes needing translating and sometimes not. Yeah, okay. Okay. We're getting there. I think my voice is dying a bit. Right, we're removing fix me's. That's what we were doing. Let's look for the fix me's. No fix me's in here anymore. That's good. What about here? No fix me's here anymore. Excellent. We did it. Let's review. So we're using a hash map. We removed a fix me. We use key and args instead of a name, which is good. And we have a default implementation of args, because that's really the only one we care about. And we're only supporting strings at the moment. You can add others as needed. Seems reasonable. Then this is where we did the conversion. From the key to the name and the values and all the rest of it. Yeah, pretty good. Can we not just go? Can we not just go kind.toString? Let me just check this. Oh, well, what happened there? I took one off too many. Yeah, we can. Okay. Because it implements display, so that's fine. And here we've got the path. Do we want to have the arguments on a separate thing? I kind of do. Just otherwise they're too hard to find. There we go. Key test. Yeah, that's a test one. That's fine. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next. Then we added the translations with some too much white space. And we're all good there. And then we're using the localize macro. And we're doing, and instead of just blindly using the name, we're translating it. And we're adding our prefix. And everything's good. Perfect. That's what we want to see. Let's do a commit. What do we do? Commit. All of these things. Yeah. Planner app. Avoid formatting of tree project tree item names in the core. Delegate to the GUI. And I don't think we broke the CLI at this point. Yeah. Let's just go do cargo test. Now, at some point, I need to update my cushy because there's been some changes which we need to catch up with. Let's just click the build button and just check for warnings. Design variant, that's okay. Did that. We're going to deal with these at some point. Yeah. Okay, does that change I just made belong in the previous commit that we just did? What file is this? Project. Let's just do another clean up warnings. Was that the one we just did? No. I don't think we touched that for this, did we? Into value local. Yeah, we did. That is part of this, yeah. We are amending this. Okay, so test pass. Boom. That's that. Okay, I think that's going to do it for today's stream. We made good progress. We added a toolbar button, which does nothing, and we deferred some localization to the GUI, and it all pretty much does exactly the same as it did at the start of the stream, but, you know, we spent 2 hours doing it. So just remember, folks, it's only software. How hard can it be? We'll find out on the next one. See ya!